Today's episode is brought to you by cattle. Every product launch faces a chicken and egg problem. You need reviews to convert, but you need conversions to get reviews. Cattle can help.
Cattle helps brands win share. They leverage their consumer panel for insights, collecting receipts, and driving product ratings and reviews. It is the largest daily active survey panel in Canada, with over 10,000 daily active users and over 100,000 monthly active users. Let cattle be your chicken and or your egg, depending on your perspective. Visit getcattle.com to learn more.
Trying to find long-term partners that had the same values as us. And for me, keeping the skin on and using as much of the fruit as possible to just reduce food waste, even if it wasn't upcycled, just that alone is huge. And then if we could find some manufacturers that would use upcycled product, then that would be like extra.
Welcome to Hearts and Carts, the CPG podcast, the podcast about the people behind the products that are winning hearts and filling carts. This cast is for anyone with an interest in the world of consumer products. We're your hosts, Justin Osborne and Alex Hill, and our mission is to bring you weekly content that helps you be a better and more informed CPG professional.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hearts and Carts. I'm Justin here with our co-host Alex, and we are super stoked for another exciting guest today. On today's show, we have Sarah Goodman, the CEO and founder of Chiwis, which is a 100% natural upcycled fruit chip brand based out of Squamish, BC. Sarah brings a wealth of knowledge on expanding a brand from zero to thousands of doors across Canada and gets into what that journey has been like for her and for the brand. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on social media, and give us those 5-star reviews. Now, let's get into the conversation with Sarah.
The one and only Chiwis. How did I get so lovely? To be so cute and fuzzy. You know you want me, Chiwis.
Hey, Sarah, how goes it?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Doing good. How's things over in Squamish?
Yeah, good. Busy. We're dealing with a bunch of stuff, and I'm leaving on holiday. Probably the worst time ever. But
never fun.
What
Wait, fun to go on holiday.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I'm going to see family for a day in Toronto, and then going to see more family in Florida for 6 days.
Okay, I'm more jealous of the Florida than the Toronto.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh, that'll be awesome to get out. Actually, it's nice today, but usually this time of year, get out of the rain a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's good. We like doing all of the regular stuff up here, but things have been so busy. I haven't taken a vacation for like a year, so it's kind of vacation.
Yeah.
I'll still be working probably.
Yeah, it's hard to turn it off.
Yeah.
But you will be warm, so
yeah, I'll at
there's
least lose the translucence, the no tan.
Yeah. I was in Austin a few weeks ago, and it wasn't even that sunny, and I was outside wearing a t-shirt, and I burned almost immediately. And was like, I haven't seen the sun in 3 months. Just
I feel like
that's
gonna happen.
Yeah. So it's very different. But Alex and I were just talking about how jealous we are that you live in Squamish. It's one of my favorite places on earth. So
I
cool.
absolutely love Squamish.
It's great. I mean, we're stoked that getting a space here. Like our facilities maybe a 4-minute drive from my house, and
Yeah.
the whole team lives up here, and we can go like mountain bike and hike and do things like that together, which is great. And yeah, it's been good, and we all have Whistler passes, so
Amazing. Living the dream.
Yeah, not too bad at all. I'm jealous. Yeah, the team offsites are a little bit better when if you drive in 5 minutes in any direction, you're at like a mountain.
Yeah.
Or you drive a little bit north and you're at like the best mountain in Canada. So that's not a bad spot to be. I was even just saying, I was like, always thought about it's such a great place to be. You're halfway between Vancouver and Whistler. I mean, not too shabby.
Yeah, it's good. Going to meetings, even in the city, like the drive just seems like 20 minutes, and it's so nice.
It's maybe the most beautiful drive in the world.
It might be the most beautiful drive in the world. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had some people when I was working at Vega that moved to Squamish, and I at first thought they were crazy because it seemed so far, and then I thought, if you're going to be doing a long drive, that sure beats like the 401 or something.
Yeah.
Like if you're driving along the cliff, it's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many people that drive so long every day for work, and I told my now husband, I was like, I'm not moving anywhere other than north when we lived in Vancouver.
Yeah. It makes sense. But anyways, thank you for hopping on. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, we were chatting with Joel Fox, and he said that you were someone that we should connect with, and just a great founder story, great person, great brand, and so
Oh,
recommended we reach out, and so
that's
here we
nice.
are. Yeah, yeah, he had wonderful things to say. So I guess I should tell everyone who we're meeting with here. We are meeting with Sarah Goodman, who is the CEO and founder at Chiwis, which is a local company in the BC area in Squamish that produces some really cool, exciting snacks. Alex and I were just, talking about how beautiful the packaging is and the product and how wonderful it is. So excited to get into all of that about the brand. But what we like to do is start with like your journey, your career journey, and how you even got to becoming the CEO and founder. So, what was your background? What did you go to school for? What other roles did you have before this? Like, talk about maybe your background in health and some of the things on how you got here. So maybe I'll just leave it open-ended there, and you can chat about that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for the nice words about the product and everything. You talk to a lot of founders that I'm close with, and it's great to be able to talk to you about Chiwis. So yeah, definitely not a straight path here. I'm originally from Ontario, and when I was 19, I went to visit a friend in Whistler for 2 months, and I lived there for 5 years, and I never went
That'll
back.
do it. Yeah, that'll do it.
And I never went back to Ontario. And I had done a year of post-secondary in journalism in Ontario, went to Whistler, just like I wasn't super into school growing up that much. Nothing struck me. I was all right, but didn't have the same kind of like drive that I do have now, definitely. After 5 years in Whistler, I realized I need to get out of here. I'm going to lose every brain cell in my head. So I moved to the city, and I went to school and did a management diploma, and ended up working in the music industry. In that, you had two practicums, and I did it both with entertainment companies, a record label, and then like one that was varied with, PR and tour publicity, things like that. And I was always so into music, and right away, true entrepreneur spirit, I was like, man, I'm not going to work for anyone else. I'm going to start my own company. So I started my company from my living room doing tour publicity for independent Canadian musicians. I managed a band, did all the things I kind of learned other than making records, which was cool. It was definitely cool, but it wasn't. I realized quite quickly that I wasn't as inspired by it, and I wanted to do something else. I come from quite a medical family, and I think some of that kind of came in. I wanted to help people more, and so I went back to school and studied nutrition. And then when I was done my nutrition studies, I started a company doing lots of different things, consulting, doing like talking in grocery stores about food and just learning about that kind of thing. I also on the side became a personal trainer, just like very interested in health. So while I was running that business and consulting with people, an opportunity came up to work with two people who had developed a consumer medical device they were science and medical based, not product based. And they were wondering how they could make the product relatable to regular humans. And they asked me for my advice, and I said, well, I think I'm consulting and talking with the people that I think want to get a hold of. And I took a look at this app. So it was a piece of hardware and an app that measured a heart metric that wasn't available to regular people, and which is called aortic stiffness. And it slowly snowballed from me being like, hey, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do this, to full-time doing like UX, building a brand, building a product that someone would see on a website, like the box, the actual design of the product, everything. It snowballed very quickly. And they had this app that looked like there was like MS-DOS, like black screen with the blinking green on it.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. And I was like, well, who are you going to sell this to? And they just said people. And I was like, oh God. And then I said, where are you going to sell it? And they said, Amazon. And I was like, okay, so you've already put a lot of money into this. Let me help you.
Yeah.
So I developed a product and messaging that I thought was going to resonate with regular people who wanted to get healthy. And it was more along the lines of more of a baby boomer type audience. So for 7 years, I went from, doing marketing, PR, to running the company and taking it to being sold all over the world, going on Dragon's Den, raising a bunch of money, developing, like learning so much about public speaking, financials, raising, UX, like all of it, packaging, barcoding, all of those things. And after 7 years, I was just like, oh my God, I cannot talk about aortic stiffness anymore. Like I was trying to make it exciting. And I think in an industry like in tech, it was hellish trying to raise money. It was, as a young-ish blonde person just out there, I always kind of felt like a fraud. I think we all have imposter syndrome all the time mostly, but I was definitely in an industry where I wasn't the same as now, where this is like the most authentic thing I was trying to think like, what am I going to do next? I'm obviously not going to go work for someone. I've never worked in a cubicle. It's just like not something that I want to do. And as a nutritionist, I used to make a ton of really healthy snacks that friends and family and clients would want to eat that didn't feel healthy. Like it's not like a quinoa bar, like things like that. And also things that I could take on adventures in Squamish and in the mountains around BC. And I made kiwi chips for like a decade. I made them all the time. And I remember going camping a bunch in the backcountry, and friends would always, like at night, would just have them in like a Tupperware Glad bag. And people would tell me that they'd never seen anything like them. So there's thin slice, skin on, crispy, light. And people said that they would buy them and buy them for the kids. And I didn't think anything of it because I was still like in the thick of tech. And then after the 7-year period, I was like, I wonder if I could make a brand out of this product that I really love and I make just for me and people have given me feedback for. So for probably 6 months on evenings and weekends, I started doing research into the food business, into CPG, started meeting with people who were like veterans of the food industry, just learning all I could, doing some courses. And in that time period, I met a lot of really great people who ended up helping when I said, okay, I think I'm good, let's go. And it was, learning about margins, learning about all of it. I didn't just say, you know what, I'm done with tech. I'm going to try to do this thing. Let's see if it works. I really, really dove in as I want to make a packaged good. I don't want it to be at a farmer's market. I want it to be on a shelf. What do I have to do? What do I have to know to like jump in and have the most potential of success? And so, in like right before COVID started, I left tech and started Chiwis.
Scary.
Like working
Scary
full time on it. It wasn't scary until I had a facility. I was making kiwi chips for our first account, which was Whole Foods. It was kind of scary once it started, and I realized a lot of the things that you have to do to get a product out there and in people's hands and successful in trade shows and demoing were not a thing that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of aligned with me being like, oh shit, like I don't want to make these. I don't want to be in a kitchen for 14 hours a day. Like I'm good at the business side. And I kind of used COVID to my benefit. And I said, hold on, like pandemic, I just need to rethink things a little bit. And we were so new that Whole Foods was like, sure. The distributor is like, okay, yeah, oh my God, pandemic. And I took about 6 months to readjust the business strategy to work with co-manufacturers and scale, and then launched in February of 2021 with a fully scalable product. So that's what I call like the launch, because the first was kind of a false start, and thank God for it. Because honestly, like we're now able to be growing tremendously year over year.
And I think I saw you guys have your own facility as well now. So you still probably have co-mans, I guess, on the side, but you also have your own.
So the reason for that, at first I didn't even want to touch the product, but really quickly you learn, everyone has to take something, but when you're getting like, we don't have the ability to manufacture at scale. We have really good partners to manufacture, but to be a local product in BC, or even a Canadian local product in some of these stores where you get in quicker, you need to be packaging here in Canada. So our manufacturers aren't in Canada. So we had a co-packer in BC. It was costing us like 56 cents a bag for them to put it in a bag and seal it and case it. And, talking to some of my advisors, just, my gut feeling, I was like, this is too expensive. And I think that we need to do it ourselves. And so now we have a facility where we do have an R&D kitchen and we start working on products, but we package everything and, it's 10 cents now.
Got it. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That's huge. Yeah. So you talked about it a little bit, right? You're making these kiwi chips at home. Like, what is a kiwi chip? For anyone that hasn't seen the product, like what are the products? Maybe talk about the expanded lineup you have now. Like, what exactly are they?
Sure. So it started with the kiwi chip. I like really intense flavor. And I'm sorry if you can hear that. I have 2 dogs that are wrestling in the background right now.
I can't. Okay. Now I'm just thinking about that. That sounds awesome.
They're over there. We have a puppy and an old lady, and they're both fighting. So I like really intense flavored products, and kiwis. People don't really realize that a lot of the nutrients are in the skin, like more than 60% of the vitamin C and antioxidants are in the skin. And when you slice them super thin and dry them so they're crispy, like I wanted the product to be crispy when you started eating it and then turn kind of candy-like in your mouth. And it tastes really sweet and sour, like a healthy Sour Patch Kid.
Cool.
And so it started with we had two SKUs that we launched into Whole Foods and a bunch of other stores first. One was just kiwi chips. And I knew that if someone didn't like the sweet and sour fully taste, I wanted to have something that had a balance. And so it was kiwi chips and then a tropical mix, which was pineapple chips, kiwi chips, and coconut together. And it was all very kiwi based. And I knew I didn't want anybody who didn't like kiwi or was allergic or anything like that to not buy Chiwis. And so about a year later I launched, and it's all like upcycled fruits whenever we can. We use all of the fruit, including the skin and core and rind, to reduce food waste. Along those values, we launched mango chips for the skin, pineapple chips that use the core and some of the skin, and orange chips that use the rind. And so they're all super crispy, thin, really light. So our bags are filled. People are always so surprised. Like the grams are quite low, but it's because we take like over 90% of the water out. And so there's so much. Like in our kiwi bag, I think there's 4 kiwis per bag. Same like the oranges. They also, the way that we make them, it keeps, like regular dried fruit that's squishy and kind of like it tastes kind of boring. And a lot of it, like that really great mango everyone loves so much, that's in all the stores, like, there's extra sugar and there's preservatives and things like that. And we don't add any of that. There's nothing. And it's kind of like the value props of our culture and our brand and our product is like, it's just no BS. Like what you see is what you get. And we're not going to, when you turn the bag over, you're just going to see the fruit. So yeah, we have 5 now, but we're working on others as well.
Very cool. So yeah, because I haven't tried the orange ones, but I saw the rind on there. So like you're good to eat rinds and
and it's all non-GMO. Like
very cool.
People, I really thought people would have more, like we would get more complaints about the not organic thing. And when I was doing a lot of consumer testing before launching anything, I talked primarily to a lot of, like our target is about a 25 to 45-year-old health oriented woman and trendy mom. And I talked to a lot of moms. I'm like, gave them the bag. I'm like, would you rather have this for $6.99 and it's non-GMO, or would you rather pay like $8.99? It's organic. It's way expensive, more expensive to get organic product. And they looked at it like, I already think this is organic.
Bingo.
I'd rather, So we've actually not heard a lot of that at all, which is surprising. But yeah, you can eat the whole thing. All good.
Very cool. I once heard something, and you're a nutritionist and have a kiwi brand, so I'll ask you. I once heard kiwi has like a broader micronutrient profile than like any other fruit. Is that true?
It's a super fruit, and a lot of them with the skin, it really increases that nutrient value, the fiber value and everything. But kiwis are so good for you in this like tiny ready to eat package. And that's just why I started using them in general, because I knew that. And I was like, can I make something that is more fun and less messy than eating a kiwi, like before I knew about the skin, with the spoon? Or so this is just an easy way. I also thought the kids would really like them as much because of the sourness, but kids love them. Like we're launching into Costco at the end of the month, and I thought, okay, well, our top product is the kiwi. Like we have to take a risk and just do a giant bag of kiwi, and people are seeming to be excited. We'll see.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we should pause there. So you're launching into Costco. That's amazing.
That's big.
Tell us about that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we got some just like earned media coverage in Daily Hive probably a year and a bit ago, when it was just only me in the company. And it was just a nice little like fluff piece about Chiwis, and Costco reached out to me. They're like, hey, we'd love to chat with you. And can you bring some samples to Burnaby, to their like main office there? And so I brought some. I didn't know a lot about Costco at the time, but they want their own product. It's a really big endeavor. And I was like, listen, try to build this brand. I don't have the headspace to even think about this right now. And so then as time went on, I was talking more with some of my pals in food and learning more about Costco. And Costco takes a smaller margin. They take 13 to 15%. You go direct with them. They want 20% less per gram than anywhere else available in store. And they want their own product. And I was like, we have our own space. We can get our packaging locally for them and do a test. And yeah, it's actually like a quite high margin product for us. And when I pitched to them in October, and I said, listen, I've got this. This is what the bag will look like. This is what it'll retail for. This is what you can get. This is how quickly we can move. And I honestly think it might have been the quickest like Costco turnaround. We were approved in early January, and then we're launching into stores right when I get home.
That's fast.
That's so exciting. Yeah. Is that Bruce over that category still, or no?
No, it's a couple of women over in Burnaby. Yeah, and they like new products, and I think that we tried to make them really involved in the process too. We're like, well, what do you think will work? Obviously, we want to keep our branding on point, but I think they like that. And if this works, so we're launching into just 5 to start, which is still like a pretty big PO. And the way that they work is you have to move a specific amount of product per week or you're out.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the Burnaby office might be the most unusual office ever. I feel like all the people shopping at that Costco have no idea there's an office.
Yeah,
it's like tucked in the back.
A wild place. Whenever I've gone there for a meeting, like I can't find parking for blocks.
It's so true. Because it's just a regular Costco parking lot, and even if you're going for a meeting in the middle of the day on a Tuesday, it's packed. packed.
Yeah, so that's really, really exciting. We'll be
That
doing
is.
a test, and if that goes well, we will put in more SKUs.
That's awesome. I
and
think
then go from the 5 to potentially like the 32, I think, in BC. And but you have to be careful because it is, it's a big cost, and then there's net payment terms and all of that, but we're pretty good right now for it. I hope it works.
yeah, I hope it works. I think anytime you get into Costco, it's always a good sign. I find the Costco buyer is extremely educated, and they're only selecting like 1/10 or even less than that of the items as traditional grocery, right? So they're super selective on what they bring in. So even just to get a test, I think speaks volumes about your product. So that's really exciting, and I hope that test goes well and you expand everywhere and continue to grow. That would be awesome. I think since we're
Thanks.
talking about retailers, maybe tell everybody where else they can find your products.
Yeah, we're getting to about 2,000 right now, minus Costco. I hadn't had a salesperson till 2 months ago, but started out super lucky. Did like Whole Foods usually is not your first customer,
Yeah.
but Whole Foods was our first customer in BC. In the first year, it was about 75 stores, just myself running things, Choices, Costco. Who else were we in? Mostly just like BC natural kind of high end stores. And then last year, oh no, we ended in 345 stores, I think. And then last year, it really bumped up with getting into all the Save on Foods, getting into London Drugs, getting into 7-Eleven, and like higher direct accounts like that. And now there's a bunch of others that now that I'm a salesperson, it's great. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I didn't have time for all of these potential leads and things like that. But we're doing a lot more expansion, especially into Ontario. And then we're expanding into California with select stores soon too.
Amazing.
Super exciting.
And so you're in small format as well with like 7-Eleven. So I'm assuming you have a couple different pack sizes up and down then.
They have the same one.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. We tested out a smaller one. One is just like such a pain in the ass to pack, but
Yeah.
people it has a resealable zipper, and people just are always telling us that they eat the whole thing. So we may test it out online, but for now we're not going to. We've had offers from airlines and things, but that's basically marketing. Like you're paying to be in there. You're not really making anything. And we're pretty busy. So we want to focus on the things that are bringing us in money and not taking it away.
Very fair. Very fair. Talk to us a little bit about your branding and packaging approach and that learning curve, because obviously you've had a little experience on the product side in terms of developing iHeart, but making like a physical product and packaging and all that stuff. So maybe an extra learning curve that you would have gone through.
I love branding. With Chiwis, I had never made anything that would go on a shelf. One of the people I consulted with before even saying I'm going to do this was a woman in Vancouver called Andrea Gray Grant from what's the consulting group? Good for Food, I think. But she and I did 3 hours. I came to her with like the longest list ever of questions, and she said to me, "Whatever package you get, go to the stores that you want to be on shelf and go put it on there. Decide where you think you're going to be and take some pictures, and you're going to know exactly what is wrong with it." It was such good advice. It was such good advice because so the way that I got into it, really, I wanted to create, even this was also before I said I'm doing this. I did a competition on 99 designs for a package. And, that's such a good platform because you can get so many designers from everywhere inputting different designs and giving them feedback based on a brief, which then like over, I think 4 or 5 days, you can give them feedback and then you choose 3 that are going to give even more rounds. So at the end of it, oh man, I thought I had like the coolest package. I got 100 of them printed up in China and sent to me. And then I made a bunch of kiwi chips, put them in the bags, got a heat sealer from Amazon, sealed them. And then I took them like on hikes and stuff. And I would bring them out and my friends would be like, "Oh yeah, what's that?" And I'd say I bought it at Whole Foods. So they wouldn't know it was from me. And then they would give me real advice. So there was that. And then I also gave those bags to people who knew it was mine. And I said, "Hey, give this to your husband, partner, kid, film them." And it had kiwi chips written on it, like so big in the front. People would open it and be like, "Oh my God, it's kiwi." And I'm like, "Oh no, okay, problem." And then I put that same bag on a bunch of shelves and took pictures. Don't ask the stores. I went in there asking and I got rejected a bunch of times. So I was like, I'm just going to go in and do it. But that was so helpful to look like what was beside. I don't know, it changed everything. And so then I worked with a local designer here in Squamish, but she works with huge companies. Her name's Rochelle. She's from Zesty Brands. I put something recently on LinkedIn.
I saw that, yeah.
The Dialine magazine talked about our branding. And I come from tech, a lean startup that was always like hand to mouth, like very, very like we weren't overly funded. I know how much things cost, and I don't know, like I'm just not willing to spend a ridiculous amount on websites or branding or any of that. And so when I was looking at options, people were like, "Oh yeah, I would love to do your branding. It'd be 25 grand and all this stuff." Like working with Rochelle, we did the brand and the first 2 bags. I think it was like her prices have probably gone up now, but it was less than 10 grand. And then we've just continued to increase or redo the branding for other SKUs that come up. She's done the Costco bag, our cases, these new shelf displays that we've been putting together for the last few days here. Just amazing. But for the branding, when I also talked to a lot of these entrepreneurs who have product in shelf, they were like, "Oh no, just put whatever bag out there. You'll figure it out." I was like, "No chance. Like you have like a minute. No. You have like 10 seconds to gather someone's attention when they're walking by." And I didn't want this product to look like it was some crafty product. I wanted it to look like it was from a giant brand, even though it was just me. And that's kind of worked, I think. And so I wanted it to be bright and colorful. And then we're in COVID, so there's no sampling or anything. It had to grab people's attention. And that's like, and all the colors and the fonts and everything is all based on like, are targeted towards that customer we're trying to get to pay attention.
Love it. I mean, I think you communicate the product benefits so clearly, like real fruit, nothing else, right in the top left. In terms of the layout, it's really great. And in the name Chiwis, was that through working with Rochelle, or was that something you already had?
I would talk about this project. So when we first moved to Squamish, my husband and I shared an office side by side, and I would just talk about it. And he was like, "Kiwi chips, Chiwis," and I'm like, "Mine, it's mine now." And that was it. Like it was just I just thought that's super easy. And I remember at the beginning, people said, "Oh, well, now if you get more products, you can't call it Chiwis. You're gonna have to rebrand it." No one gets it. It's just a cute little name. Yeah. So it's totally. He did it, but we're now married, so I guess he owns 50% of it anyway.
That's sometimes credit goes a long way. The fact that it wasn't just you were climbing the chief and like looking out and eating a Chiwi and came up with it. I'm sure he'll appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, if you don't give him credit and he hears it, then that's where the trouble really starts, I guess, right?
I remember when I was fundraising the first time, we were in that, like, now we live in a place that we have our own offices, but he could like recite my pitch word by word. It was so awful.
Yeah. I've lived that when we were downtown. My wife and I were sharing an office as well. We had like a little divider up between us, but it's like impossible to not hear what the other person's talking about. So it's like even if you're not trying to listen, it's like you're kind of stuck there. Yeah, it was an interesting time. I think one of the things that I love about your brand is the upcycling kind of feature of it. So I wanted you to talk a little bit more about that. And then like sort of around that, the social responsibility / giving back the community aspect of it. So maybe you could hit on those two pieces for the brand.
Sure. One thing about when I was trying to find co-manufacturers that was pretty awesome in the early COVID days was I didn't have to fly anywhere and meet people and like do all of that back and forth. Everything was done over Zoom. And so we were just getting packages of snacks like constantly back and forth. And I was trying to find it's really hard to find co-manufacturers. They're not marketing themselves. So tons of research there, but trying to find long-term partners that had the same values as us. And for me, keeping the skin on and using as much of the fruit as possible to just reduce food waste, even if it wasn't upcycled, just that alone is huge. And then if we could find some manufacturers that would use upcycled product, then that would be like extra. So we ended up finding some really, really great partners. And now we're doing some R&D in-house to do more like local products that are upcycled as well. So in different flavor profiles and things like that. And then with the giving back to the community, we do donate quite a lot of product to food banks, like local food banks, things like that. And we also donate cash and product to the Take a Hike Foundation, which is a foundation that helps take kids that wouldn't get the chance to go like hiking, camping, biking, canoe trips, things like that outside. For me, I was from Toronto before. I always thought I was going to be this like city girl, live in a condo. And then I went to Whistler for like 2 days. And oh my God, like this exists. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it honestly totally changed me. And getting outside and doing those things, especially when running a company like this, and I also, I brought this tech kind of growth mindset to it. It's go all the time. And being able, like the only thing that really helps for me is this like walking, hiking, mountain biking meditation, meditation, which, I'm not thinking about anything other than not dying.
Totally.
And that's what's helped me. And I think giving other people the opportunity to go do that is really important. And so that's a foundation we really love to work with.
Yeah, it's cool because at the beginning you said you wanted to do something that was like more authentic to you. And so it's cool to see you giving back to the community specifically with a charity that is so connected to like what you do for your own well-being. I think that's like a nice connection of a brand giving back to the community. It's perfect, right?
Oh, that's good. And honestly, with the authenticity part, like I think I was really good at regurgitating information for the tech thing and getting people excited. But with this one, man, like it's just so easy because it is so authentic. So there's no faking it, anything like that. Like even with the fundraising piece, I couldn't believe it when we were sharing that office. Like I'd be doing a pitch and someone would just be like, "Yep, I'm in," which was not a thing before. Like they just got it, and it's not a very hard sell also because it's such a simple kind of product. But yeah, it's such a nice feeling to have that.
That's awesome. I think that's really important. I think people invest in other people, sometimes not products, right? So it's really important for them to believe in the founder, believe that the founder's in love with the product they're selling, right? And has that like that story connected, because otherwise you're right. If they're just doing it for some other external reasons, it's like that's not somebody I want to get behind and somebody I want to invest in, right? And I think consumers see that too. So it's really important to be connected for sure. So you talked about expansion to Ontario, the Costco test, expansion into California. Hey, puppy.
Linda. She came with the name.
Sidetrack. I love very human names on dogs. like the other day I was out for a hike and there was just a dog named Jake. And I was like, that's awesome. Like
our other one, the old one over there, her name's Nora.
Nora, that's also a very great name. Yeah, I think that's just hilarious. But where's it going now?
Sorry.
So what's it's okay. I'm happy to be distracted by dogs. So you talked about California, you talked about Costco, you talked about Ontario, you hinted on some new products. What's next for you and the brand, and what can you share about what's happening over the next 12 to 18 months?
I continually take on products. I'm like, oh, we're at a good spot. And it's like, oh, that's just something else bigger and crazier. But I've been very clear about my goals here with my team and my investors and everyone. Like I want to build this to a certain level and then sell it, and everybody goes in and has a better life after, and then do something else. Like I'm an entrepreneur, got other ideas and things like that. But like I think for the next 3 to 5 years, we'll continue to, figure out ways to reduce cost, potentially reduce cost on shelf, increase our SKU list, which I would love to start what we are doing some R&D on is vegetables and things like that. But, releasing a product is so expensive for us, not as much as one of these giant companies. So that's nice because we are quite nimble. But one thing that we did test this Christmas, which was really like a last minute, oh my gosh, we have a lot of orange chips. Like, why don't we just try this out? We did in-house, we made a vegan dark chocolate dipped orange chip, which we put online, sold out. We had retailers being like, can we just try them? And I was like, they don't have barcodes. Like they're just took them to retailers, they sold out. So we were doing some R&D around that. And we found that 3 of our chips are amazing dipped in chocolate. And so right now we're doing tests with a bunch of different co-manufacturers, some local, some not, like some in the West Coast of the States and in-house, because we're going to launch some of those, and definitely the orange one for Christmas. But we will really want to do a dark chocolate dipped line, maybe even a milk chocolate one, but we like the vegan aspect of it. We do some vegan markets, and when we had those for the Christmas vegan markets, people were just like, oh my gosh, I'm never allowed to eat Terry's chocolate orange. Like and we're going to get these display shippers that are just Christmas, just for the orange, and we're going to put them right beside that Terry's one.
It's a great idea. Like that's where my head went when you said Christmas and orange. I thought of the old. I remember those commercials from that was probably 20 years ago now, but them smashing the oranges and all of that.
Our marketing can just be like, you don't even have to smash it.
I thought it's already pre-smashed, and I think almost everything tastes better covered in chocolate. But
the mango didn't work. The mango didn't taste that great. The kiwi, amazing. Everyone loves pineapple, so that one's obviously good. But yeah, doing more tests like that, and even a launch into the States. Like our US bags are different. Our barcodes, casing, all of that. We were really lucky. We got a can export grant, which is an amazing thing for any small business. I think making under like $100 million or something. I could be wrong on that, but anyone listening that has less than like 500 employees, you can apply. And we did a digital market expansion into the Pacific Northwest of the States and got $30,000 from the government. And it was just to go towards, website, digital advertising, any kind of like regulatory reviews of your bags, things like that you want to design. And we were able to work with the sales rep over there just to provide introductions to the right retailers and do market research. And with that, he was just at Expo West in California. We had meetings with like Sprouts and Whole Foods, and I think we're getting into a few of those like right away. So all of this pre-work that we've done there, and there's a lot of work just making sure that our velocities are high and good.
Yeah.
And it's not just all about releasing things. It's about being able to have a cash flow positive business and get to and reach our goals.
Love it. Love it. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
One question we always like to ask our guests is just around prioritization. Like, you obviously have, you've had a pretty big career on the tech side and now this career in CPG, and just curious how you kind of set those goals, how you really optimize your weeks and your days to get the most out of them.
Well, with goal setting, to me, and I think this is an entrepreneur thing, but I'll set one and then we'll get there and I'm like, okay, well, why didn't we get here? Why wasn't it more? And it just becomes like immediately another goal. I'm really, really bad at celebrating when something amazing happens, which happens quite a lot with Chiwis. Until a year ago, it was just me doing everything. So it was kind of just a tornado of figuring shit out. Now I'm lucky I have a right hand that was my marketing manager. She's now my director of brand and product. I have someone who's great at running like our facility floor. We know what we need. So, I check in, make sure it's a lot of like POs, sales meetings, and overseeing things. I don't really have that much structure, honestly. I try to be in our space, for a couple hours a day, start out at home, take dog walks, and usually once every couple of weeks we go and do a fun group activity outing.
Yeah. What's the transition been like from like a single person to now having a team? Because that, I think, drastically changes your days and like things like celebrating things, right? If it's just you're probably not celebrating as much, but now you have a team, you want to celebrate wins with them. I'm sure everything about your days has changed now.
Yeah, it definitely has. And the team's grown slowly. Some people worked out, some people didn't. Some people like just proved their worth so much. Like my marketing, she was my marketing manager, Carla, but has done almost, like, I've done every single role in the company. She's almost done everything. She's like, I can trust her with the world. She's taking care of everything while I'm gone from this morning until next week. And, we have some impending crazy things, but it is different, and managing people's different. Didn't have to do that before. That's new for me, because before it was just myself and the co-founders from tech. We didn't have anyone under us. And so it's really nice, but it does take a lot of other time away, even doing payroll and doing that kind of thing. And so it does free up way more of my time to be focusing on the growth side of things, but I'm still very much in it.
Yeah. Another question that we ask everybody is what we call our brand fan. So what is a product or brand that's out there that you absolutely love?
Well, I think that you just talked to the founder, my friend Karen from Bloom.
That's a really good one.
Good
and we
one.
did just talk, and she is an awesome person too. So after that call, I was like, I think I like the brand even more now. She's
so cool. Great. Yeah, her and I met a while back, and she's, like, I will text her often and we'll just chat about things, or she'll text me and with questions about certain things. But what she's done is wild. Like, it's so inspiring, and we share a bunch of investors and advisors, and she's just she's just a great person too. There's nothing bad about the woman. She's just so fun. We got to spend a weekend in Whistler at this investor retreat together in the, I guess, early fall, and it was just so great. But yeah, her and I are pretty close. I love her products. I love the story. So yeah, she's a big one. And then obviously, like, maybe this helped in the sell with fundraising, but I love Smart Suites. I love that team over there. I love what Tara did. And I wooed Cindy Bakich, her chief operating officer, who took them from like 100,000 a year to 100 million. And she's now my operations advisor. And, I want to do something similar to what they did. And so I'm trying to surround myself with people who have been in that realm. So yeah, I would say Karen and Tara and Smart Suites and Bloom are definitely the ones that are always in my house and always like my inspiration.
Agreed. Great ones.
Great companies.
They're both always in my house as well. So yeah, they're great companies. Yeah.
What's your go-to Bloom flavor?
I'm a sucker for a hot chocolate. So it's like the
reishi hot chocolate. That's the one. I actually mix it in my coffee every single day.
Mocha. Yeah. Counts. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I love those Worms are sweets.
Same. I've been bugging Lauren Bailey, who works at Smart Sweets and manages their Canadian sales team, to get those back into Costco, because they have the fish in Costco, which I love, but those worms are fantastic.
You know, the fish get too caught in my teeth. The worms, and I keep them in the fridge too. So that's why I always like Smart Sweets.
Worms
They're
are
like
best.
harder. They're like a stale feeling candy. But yeah, they're so good.
They really are.
Okay, so last question we ask is really a chance for you to, give your one or two biggest pieces of advice to someone who's young and looking to make a great career or start something amazing. I think you've had a really cool, interesting career where you've kind of zigged and zagged and found yourself where you are. So I'm excited to hear your answer. And yeah, floor is yours.
I think that doing a lot of research before diving in and knowing a few key things, like for CPG, if you don't know those margins, how much it's going to cost to make your product. Like I've heard countless times that people will go like a cookie or something and go into a farmer's market and they're like, well, I think I should charge, say, I'm just throwing like $4.99 for this. And then say it gets popular and then they have to go into a grocery store and they're like, wait, what? I have to give a distributor what? I have to give the retailer what? And then they're totally screwed. So doing that research, knowing that you can charge a specific amount for a product, because if you end up in a position where you're making nothing, like there's no point. So that one, definitely doing the research there and how you're going to do it. And then surrounding yourself and with people who have been in your shoes, that have the same values as you. Like I have this advisory board of 4 people who are so amazing, and I can text them at any time and really chat through anything. And so instead of being reactive to things, I can really like vent and get feedback from people who have dealt with this kind of issue before, or just really good things. So having that, and it wasn't just cold outreach on LinkedIn. It was really, you have to warmly make these relationships happen. And I'm really lucky that even in the food business here, and from tech too, a lot of these tech people reached out to me after they saw Chiwis and they were like, oh, I would love to like invest or chat with you about this kind of stuff. You never know who you're going to meet who will be able to help, but having a great support system. And then, other founders too, like Karen and I are just friends. Like a lot of people who I reached out to early on, one of my advisors is Eve from Eve's Crackers. And so she built, she has a 1 point something a year business, just herself. Amazing product. And she's on my advisory board because she's in my shoes just really, really like recently. And so, for example, when we got into Save on Foods, I was like, oh my gosh, they want a free fill for every store. And that's almost 200 stores and it's 5 SKUs and it really adds up. And she was like, oh, dude, you can just negotiate and get them to pay half of it. And then I went to them and do that and we got it. Like I wouldn't have known to do that. And her and I, just having those people around that you can discuss your wins and losses and everything with. They don't have to be an advisor with equity. They don't have to be an investor, but being able, because it gets lonely, and a lot of the time, like I can't talk to my husband about this stuff. I can talk about the good stuff and things, but he's gonna go blank after a minute of talking about some of this boring stuff. But to us, it's not boring, and to other people going through it, it's not boring. And now I try. It's getting harder with how busy I am, but I try to help people I do get reached out to like almost daily now. But when people need help or want guidance, like I want to be able to help them because I got help in the beginning. And help people, not tell them what to do, but navigate things in a less bumpy manner, I guess.
Yeah, that fantastic pieces of advice. Like that would help any person, right? Financials and surrounding yourself with the right people. And I love, one of the things I love about CPG and specifically sort of the natural food space is how awesome and helpful everyone seems to be. And, people helped you and now you're paying it forward and helping the next, generation of entrepreneurs, which is really cool. I think that's a very unique thing to this industry and something that I'm sort of proud of being part of this industry.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Really, really, really is. Anyways, we will let you go. I believe you're running to a flight right now. So I really appreciate you spending the time with us and chatting with us and telling us your story. Love the product and I love the story, and it was great meeting you. Hopefully we'll get to see you at CHFA West or some other time.
We'll be there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. We will be there. Not sure the booth number, but we're there and we'll have lots of snacks and we'll probably have some of the new innovation products to try.
Awesome. Can't wait to try it. Yeah, we'll stop by for sure.
Okay.
Enjoy your vacation. Safe journey.
Thank you. Thank
Bye,
you so
Sarah.
much.
Thanks so much, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was a great conversation. Really liked meeting Sarah. Can't wait to meet her at her CHFA booth and get to know her a little bit better, but really cool brand. Love that it's local and a lot of great advice throughout, like specific advice around margins and which stores to focus on and other things. And for me, I think the advice that stood out to me specifically was go to the store and put the packaging on the shelf, and you'll know what's wrong with it. Like I love that idea.
You stole my takeaway.
It's a really good one. You know what? I'll let you have it. You go ahead.
So guys, one thing that really stood out to me, I mean, I think one of the things I thought Sarah did that I really liked throughout the interview is she just gave such specific tactics for people to pick up and run with. Whether that, is the packaging design strategy she used, or it's, just talking about the importance of getting margins right and a little bit of the formula that she used to navigate that in her startup. But overall, I thought it was a really great conversation. I thought she has a really firm handle on her vision and where she's taking that brand. So I'm really excited to see what they can do, because it's such a different product. And I love kiwis and as a fruit, and I think it's going to be, it's got legs, right? Like no one else is doing this, and it really stands out as something that's natural and good for you and easy and portable. And so I think it's going to be a hit.
Agreed, right? And you can see that it's expanding rapidly. From 0 to 2,000 stores in a couple of years is pretty phenomenal, and now starting to expand into California, which is a huge opportunity there for them. I think they're going to do very well. Anyone that also recommends putting gummy worms in the fridge, which is something that I do, I immediately fall.
You got to trust that person.
You have to trust. Or anyone that says, hey, we are trying to see if all of these are better dipped in chocolate. Yeah, that's somebody I can get behind. That's great. That's a great thought process. And I'm excited to try those for next Christmas, because, I love to have these type of things that are better for you, that are fruit-based, but then also get that sweet chocolate hit. So those will be awesome for the Christmas time.
Well, guys, if you haven't already put this into your Google Maps or your Waze or whatever you use to navigate, throw in, a Whole Foods or a Save on Foods or a Costco in BC, one of those 4 test stores, and go get yourself some Chiwis, or you can order it direct online. Thank you so much for sticking with us and joining us for this conversation. And thank you to Sarah for making herself available to share. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, follow us on social media, and ratings, reviews, or any feedback, you can give it to us directly, is very much appreciated. And without anything else to add, look forward to having you back next time for another great conversation. Thanks, everyone.